Bună ziua, dragi cititori ai revistei Casino Life and Business Magazine. În interviul de sâmbătă de săptămâna aceasta l-am invitat alături de noi pe André Wilsenach, Senior Vice-President Governmental Relations la BMM Testlabs International. O persoană și o personalitate recunoscută în gamblingul mondial. Domnia sa a avut amabilitatea să ne răspundă întrebărilor și, cum ne aflăm pe perioada târgului de la București, îi vom cere și câteva impresii despre acest târg. So, hello, Mr. Wilsenach.
Hello.
How you see Bucharest?
I love it. It is a beautiful city. This is my second visit to Bucharest, and it's really a beautiful city. Lots of history. Beautiful on the outside, the countryside that I've seen. I haven't seen all the countryside, but it's really beautiful, and the people are very friendly.
Good. That's. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, you're right. Bucharest is a beautiful city. What do you think about the fair, the Entertainment Arena Fair, the gambling annual gambling fair?
I was quite impressed. For a country fair, it was much bigger than I anticipated. My thoughts were that it was very professionally presented, very competitive, and having walked the floor, I was very impressed with what I've seen in terms of the size and you know, the exhibitions, and the conference yesterday. I thought the conference was very good. I was very impressed with some of the discussions, specifically in areas of responsible gaming. There's a lot of thought being given to that in Romania, which I thought was positive, which is indicative always of a maturing industry, which is good.
Okay, I will explain a little bit to our viewers. Domnul André Wilsenach se află în România la invitația noastră și a participat la toate evenimentele de pe perioada de 3-5 septembrie, în perioada târgului Entertainment Arena Expo. Domnia sa s-a referit la conferința de ieri, cea organizată de revista noastră, ora exactă în gambling, organizată în premieră cu Asociația Joc Responsabil, la care dânsul a avut chiar o prezentare foarte, foarte interesantă, despre care vom vorbi un pic mai încolo. So, okay, let's start with the personal questions. How did you begin in this gambling area?
So, I've been in gambling now for more than 20 years. It started with me. Perhaps I should say, first of all, that I'm, as you can probably hear from my accent, I'm South African born, lived most of my life in South Africa, and at the time of the next democratic Mandela government, I was asked to join the government as an economic advisor. And in that capacity, I was asked to participate in a commission that would look at the legalization of gambling in South Africa. And that gave me the opportunity, and I should say, at that stage, I didn't know anything about gambling.
No, okay.
It was a totally new field to me. And gambling in those days, I'm talking in the early 90s, didn't have a good reputation. So I wasn't sure that I really want to get involved in gaming, right?
Yeah.
And I was a bit hesitant about it. But then, being part of that commission, we went around the world to study the regulation of gaming. And we went to the United States, we traveled to Australia, which is a big market, and also, you know, throughout Europe and the United Kingdom, to look at legislation, regulation, and so on. And I came back with an impression of this is, irrespective of its reputation at that stage, it is a well-regulated industry. It wasn't at that stage a very mature industry, but you know, apart from jurisdictions such as Nevada, New Jersey, a number of jurisdictions in Europe, then particularly the UK, Spain, I remember at the time, obviously Australia. It was a fairly well-regulated industry. And so I became instrumental in introducing legislation in South Africa that led to the development of an establishment of a casino industry throughout South Africa. And today you have a number of large resort-style casinos. I should say that 5 years later, I became bored with regulating terrestrial gaming and became very interested and fascinated by the prospect of regulating online gaming. I was wondering where would I do that, because the South African government was not interested in opening up online gaming at the time. To be honest with you, even today, they haven't opened that market as yet. But I was then asked by someone at the British Gaming Commission whether I would be interested in considering a position at the Alderney Gambling Control Commission, which is an island in the English Channel that was thinking of regulating online gaming. And so my family and I, in 2002, moved to Alderney, where I still live, although I live on the bigger island, Guernsey, with a view to regulate online gambling. And I did that for about 17 years. Oh. When I was asked by the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, to set up an international center for the study of gaming regulation. So my family and I have just returned from the United States at the end of last year, having set up that center, and I'm pleased to say that's going very, very well. I now find myself with BMM since the beginning of this year, with the responsibility for government relations. So it's a long-winded way of answering your question,
yeah,
but very, very exciting and interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The moves happen in our lives. You never know what's coming next. But does it still the same? I don't know. You like gambling industry? You don't like it? You're bored? Or?
No, I'm certainly not bored, and I enjoy it tremendously. The industry today is a very different industry from what it was 20 years ago. It is definitely far more mature. In my view, the industry is fully part of the leisure and entertainment sector now. And it has generally a good reputation around the world. And it has become more fascinating purely because we've seen a lot of developments taking place over the 20 years. I mean, 20 years ago, it was primarily terrestrial gaming. Today, you find that gaming is taken to the market both through the offline and the online channels. Mm-hmm. And you have multiple products that are now being offered both online and offline. The verticals are huge in terms of, not only lotteries, not only casinos, but betting, bingo, poker. There's and all of these verticals are now available, not just online and offline, but mobile as well.
Which you prefer most, land-based or online?
I enjoy the online, and it's probably because of my long exposure to the online. I enjoy the online most.
Can the online gambling give to the player the same experience like the live gaming?
I don't think so. I think it's two different experiences. The games are very similar from an integrity point of view, from a security point of view. Very similar. There are certain things that you can do online that you can't do offline. For example, you can give the player a lot more choices in terms of regulating himself, in terms of limiting his own stakes, his own play, payouts, those sort of things. So you can give him a lot more tools, which I think is interesting. You can't always do that in the offline side. But I think it's two separate experiences, and people tend to still go to the casinos, and I don't really think that we're going to see online cannibalizing the offline. In fact, it's quite interesting that if you look at what's happening now in New Jersey, I think it's a very good example of where the introduction of online has actually stimulated the offline sector, where people would go now to the casino because the online is actually playing a marketing role in exposing people to gaming and to the physical land-based properties. So I think, you know, the two would support each other rather than having a cannibalization effect.
But so it's not your opinion that the online gambling is the gambling of the future?
I think online gambling is gambling of the future, but I don't necessarily say that means it's the end of offline.
Okay.
I think offline will always be there, and offline will always have its place and its role to play. There are people, and there will always be people who would like to go to the offline casinos.
Yeah.
It is much more social. People enjoy a day out or a night out, or go to the restaurants, having a punt, and that will always be the case. So no, I'm not saying at all that there's no future for it.
Are you a gambler?
I'm not a serious gambler. I would, from time to time, take a few pounds or dollars or whatever currency I have and play a little bit machine gaming.
Okay.
But I'm not a big gambler.
Okay. So you know also the slot area and everything.
I know, yeah, exactly. I know the math.
But how do you think the casino of the future will look like?
That's a very interesting question. I had the opportunity during the last 3 years, whilst being at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, to observe some developments in this area and some thought specifically about how does the millennials, how do they see the casino of the future? Because that's the next generation, right? And their expectations are so different from our generation. It's well known, you know, that they are very keen to participate in games where there's a skill involved and where they can improve their skills, and where they may be a little bit anonymous, and where there's a challenge for them, whether it is speed or skill or whatever the case might be. And that's why we see, you know, the huge developments now these days in the area of esports and skill-based games and so on. And therefore, we've asked, whilst being at the university, we've asked the students, what are their thoughts about the casino of the future? And I found that very fascinating, in that if they would draw a picture of it, the gaming floor will be less defined. As you well know, today the gaming floor is distinct from the rest. In their view, that should disappear. It should facilitate multiple gaming opportunities, social gaming, virtual reality games, you know, some offline, some terrestrial games as we have them today, some nightclub facilities, and so it's a mix of different users, rather than just the casino floor with tables and machines. So I think we're going to see over the years to come a change in the casino of the future, especially if it wants to remain relevant to future generations.
Yesterday at the seminar, Exact Timing Gambling seminar, you were speaking about the artificial intelligence. Can you tell to our viewers how this AI will help the gambling?
AI is already playing a huge role in our industry. I think the first thing to say really is that our industry is ideally suited for AI, purely because a huge component of artificial intelligence is machine learning. And it being a numbers and probability game, you would find that it's easy to develop algorithms, you know, that would that would understand the game, get to know the game, and learn the game. And there's an actual fact of view today, and there's evidence of that these machines are becoming so clever that they in actual fact become as clever as human beings when it comes to playing these games. But apart from that, it's already playing a significant role when it comes to predicting sports outcomes. It's playing an important role when it comes to trading, betting. The trading floor these days look a lot different from trading floors, 10 years ago because of the availability of artificial intelligence. The casino manager of today have, at his display, he's got access to information and patterns that show him what is the effect of moving machines on the floor. Marketing is changing as a result of that because casino companies, both online and offline, have a lot more data available to them. AI is able to translate that data into patterns and predict, changes. One is able to offer a more customized offering to the player. In actual fact, I understand that in the online side, players, it won't be too long before players will have the look and feel of a casino as if it is your casino or your sportsbook. They will skin it in the way that it suits your particular taste. And so we're going to see all of these developments. But I think there is a danger if it isn't carefully watched, in that there are concerns about what is being done with the data. And are the algorithms that are being developed, are they being developed with a view to promote marketing, or is it to understand, which are your players that will lose most and win most? Now, I know that our operators already have that information, but the question is the customer being exploited as a result of having that information?
Probably yes.
Probably yes. And then again, we should also say that there is a lot of developments now taking place in the area of using artificial intelligence to identify and support customers that are at risk, enabling operators now to have a discussion with a player, purely because algorithms are being developed based on what have been observed when a person at risk is playing the casino and the sort of people that would typically exclude them from the casino. So it is going to have a huge impact, but I think one's got to approach it with caution. And again, as I said in the beginning, we've built a reputable industry, and I think we should be careful not to affect that in the way that AI is being used in our particular sector.
Back in the 70s, there were a lot of movies showing robots killing humans because of self-learning. Do you believe that we should be afraid about artificial intelligence training itself?
Yeah. I think we're very far from that. I mean, anything is, of course, possible. In studying the development of artificial intelligence, my impression is that the next phase is going to be what is being called augmented humanism, where artificial intelligence is being used to improve the human ability. The implant of a lens in the retina that will allow you to identify someone by looking at the person, and swallowing chips that will give physicians a better understanding of what's going on in the body. And those sort of things, I think we're going to see a lot more, focusing on improving the human body a lot. Whether it will ultimately result in what you've just described, I don't know. I don't think we need to be too concerned about it. Everything I've read indicates that it will probably not happen, but nothing is impossible.
Of course. And the sci-fi movies are still on the market and are very, very much liked by the public. I have a favorite saying regarding the artificial intelligence, and I will give also a question. I will put you also a question after that. We are now working on artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, the natural stupidity is killing us. Can the artificial intelligence replace, or I don't know, do something to the natural stupidity of people?
I think in the end of the day, the human race is probably the most important factor we have to our availability. Artificial intelligence will always be a tool to give us a better understanding of human behavior, human patterns, neural patterns, but ultimately the decision will be made by us human beings. And you will always have the human being ultimately responsible for those decisions, whether it's good decisions or bad decisions. And I'm afraid you're going to always have that factor.
Yeah, of course. That will be also a 50-50 chance to win or to lose.
Yeah.
Coming back to something personal, do you have hobbies?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. I have a garden which I really enjoy. It's not a big garden. It's mainly small beds and pots, and I love planting flowers and shrubs and that sort of thing. So for me, my off time is being spent in my garden outside during the English summers, which are not that long. So one's got to take the opportunity. So when
you have very short hobbies.
I have short hobbies. Yeah.
Okay, me too. I have the same hobby. Gardening is my favorite one. I'm planting flowers all the time.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But we have long summers and it's not. But we have very hard winters, which in England are not.
Yeah.
But how do you have? What's happening with the garden while you are away from home?
I have neighbors.
Okay.
And my wife is being very supportive.
Does she understand you all the time leaving and so on?
Yeah.
She got used to it.
She's used to it, and over the years, I think she got used to it.
Okay.
And we now have a grandson, our first, and therefore I'm very keen to go home and spend a bit of time with him. So it's an additional attraction for me.
Yeah, good.
Being home.
So okay, thank you very much, André. Hope we will see you again in Romania very soon. Hopefully to our next conference in March. And if you want to add something for our readers, feel free.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed my time here. I'm watching the developments in Romania in the gaming area with great interest. I can see it's an evolving sector here. It's becoming a mature sector here, and I'm very interested in following it, and would love to come back if I get the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. Dragi prieteni ai revistei, ne revedem cu alte interviuri. Nu știu dacă vom putea numi de sâmbătă, pentru că vor fi pe parcursul acestei perioade a târgului de gambling și am preferat să le dăm unul după altul, nu să le așteptăm până sâmbătă, pentru că își vor pierde valabilitatea. Până atunci, până la un nou interviu, vă spunem la revedere!